Of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Public Works for the inquiry into Airservices Australia, Aviation Rescue Firefighting Services NexGen project for the end-of-life facilities upgrades, Phase 1A, Queensland and Victoria. The committee's role, as defined in the Public Works Committee Act 1969, is to consider and report on the purpose and need for the proposed works, the most effective use of public money that can be made in carrying out the works, and the present and prospective public value of the proposed works. In accordance with the committee's resolutions of 31st of July 2025, this hearing will be broadcast on the Parliament's website, and the proof and official transcripts of proceedings will be published on the Parliament's website. I also remind members of the media who may be present or listening on the web of the need to fairly and accurately report the proceedings of the committee. I'm Tony Zappia, Chair of the committee. With me to my left,
Andrew Wilcox, Federal Member for Dawson and Deputy Chair.
and to my right.
Senator Josh Deliga.
And I don't know if we have anyone online. David, are you still online?
I'll just get him out.
Yep. I think we might have Mr. David Smith that will be joining us as well. I remind members participating via chorus call to give their names each time they speak to assist witnesses and Hansard. Members and participants are reminded not to take any other calls and put their phones on hold during the teleconference, as this may cause interference with the teleconference. I now welcome representatives of Airservices Australia to give evidence. For the Hansard record, would you please each state your full name and the capacity in which you appear before the committee?
Thank you. Michelle Peterson, Chief Aerodromes Officer, Airservices Australia.
Mr Mark Page, Program Director of ARF NexGen.
And Mr James Comley, PFAS Technical Lead with Airservices.
Thank you. Although the committee does not require you to give evidence under oath, I should advise you that these hearings are formal proceedings of the Parliament. Consequently, they warrant the same respect as proceedings of the Parliament itself. Giving false or misleading evidence is a serious matter and may be regarded as contempt of Parliament. I now invite you to make some brief introductory remarks before we proceed to questions.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. We appreciate the opportunity to appear before you today, and I'd like to make a brief opening statement. I will table a copy with the Secretariat. Airservices Australia is a government-owned organisation funded by the aviation industry. We deliver 3 essential services that underpin the safety and efficiency of the Australian aviation sector: air traffic management, aviation rescue firefighting services, also known as ARFs, and air navigation support. Our ARFs operate at 27 of Australia's busiest airports, providing rapid emergency response capabilities to protect lives and property. We employ more than 900 firefighters and operational ARF personnel and respond to over 4,000 emergency assistance requests annually. Airservices operates commercially on a fee-for-service basis and receives no funding from the government. I'll start by giving the committee a brief overview of the nationwide modernisation program we call the ARF's NexGen program, and then move specifically to Phase 1A, which is before you today for consideration. The nationwide program encompasses Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Western Australia, Tasmania and the Northern Territory. This is a multi-year national infrastructure investment to modernise our ARF stations, training facilities and our firefighting vehicle fleet. The program is essential to ensure we provide legislated firefighting and rescue services to support the aviation industry and meet the needs of the growing passenger numbers. The program will also ensure we continue to meet our regulatory obligations under the Civil Aviation Safety Regulations and work health and safety requirements. Today we are seeking the committee's approval for the NexGen Phase 1A. There are 5 distinct work elements where Queensland assets are the main focus. Phase 1A proposes the following works: fire station rebuilds at Cairns, Rockhampton and Mackay to replace physical assets at their end of life and deliver modern, fit-for-purpose facilities. Construction of cold drill training grounds at Cairns, Mackay, Rockhampton, Gladstone and Sunshine Coast, enabling fire and foam-free training in line with environmental best practice. And minor station upgrades at Gladstone, Sunshine Coast and the Melbourne Learning Academy to accommodate the new fire vehicle fleet in order to support operational readiness and training capability. We prioritise Phase 1A works to address critical infrastructure needs, particularly to support the deployment of new fleet vehicles and enhance training capacity for our growing workforce. Importantly, we need to rebuild stations, including one that was damaged by severe weather events. In late 2023, our Cairns Airport Fire Station was destroyed by flooding, and as a result, our Cairns station is currently being delivered from temporary facilities. Rockhampton and Mackay facilities have been prioritised because they are both facing significant end-of-life challenges and becoming no longer fit for purpose. As passenger and traffic numbers grow in North Queensland, Airservices is required to provide higher level of category services to meet growing demand. These works will also meet our commitments to ensure our staff have facilities and equipment to keep the community safe while improving our engagement with staff. As our submission notes, we have engaged with a wide range of stakeholders when developing the ARF NexGen program. We believe this program represents a prudent and efficient investment in national aviation safety infrastructure. We welcome any questions from the committee.
Thank you, Mrs. Peterson, and again, thanks for the briefing yesterday, which also gave us an insight into some of the vehicles and so on. This is part of an ongoing project that will take place right across the country. So this is the first stage of it, I assume, and it's $163 odd million in total. Again, are those figures? How confident are you in the costs that you're putting to the committee? And I ask that because in recent times, a lot of the work that's come before the committee has gone over budget.
I might hand to Mr. Mark Page in relation to costing.
Yeah, so we've done a lot of work in the costings through the design process. We have designed one station that is fit for purpose, minus a few minor local tweaks that we can roll out nationwide. This allows us to fine-tune our construction methods and get efficiencies of scale as we move through that process. We've worked with independent quantity surveyors through those different methods and with the relevant in-tune costs with our construction methods as of January this year, when we supplemented our QS report. So, we have a confidence level of P80 in the estimates that we've been provided to the committee.
Some of the costing would include the purchase of new trucks, firefighting.
The new vehicles actually sit outside this submission.
They sit outside this.
Yes, correct.
So this is just for the facilities.
Just for the facilities and the training facilities. Yep.
Okay. And you were in the briefing you provided to us yesterday. You were talking about building a modular type of a building that can be adapted to just about any site. I assume that there's the ability within those designs to adapt to the site in question, and I assume that they won't necessarily all be identical, although they'll be similar in concept.
That is correct, Chair. So the modular design allows us to adapt to local conditions, be that the type of soil it's on or the prevailing winds, location to the airport runway. But the modular design then also allows us to have a same, what I'll call, look, feel and flow through for our ARF Aviation.
Okay. All right, I'm going to pass over to my colleagues. Andrew, do you want to go next? Or?
Do you want to mix it up, Chair?
Yeah, Josh, do you want to go next?
No worries. I was going to ask about the NexGen fire equipment, the trucks, and the need for the trucks as part of the project. Like, obviously, the ones we've seen yesterday were still quite remarkable. Can you tell us about the benefits and that the new firefighting equipment will provide?
Yep. So again, the trucks actually sit outside this submission.
Oh, so they're out of the 1A, sorry.
Yeah, no, well, it's a separate. Yeah, the fleet is separate, but I'm happy to give you a rundown on what the new fleet can do.
Yeah.
So the new fleet are allowed are slightly larger and can carry more agent, so powder, foam, water, etc., etc. So they also have a better speed and can get to incidences in a quicker time. They have new equipment such as HRET, high reach extendable turrets, which, and again, I'm not an ARF expert, I'm a construction person, but it gives us better modern use to fight aviation incidences with better equipment.
I'll add to that. So the benefit of the HRED, or the high reach extendable turret, means that our firefighters can immediately control the fire whilst remaining inside the vehicle. So our response times improve, but it also means from a personal safety perspective, there is not an immediate need to actually exit the cab, and they can control the fire within the actual fire vehicle themselves.
Great. And can you tell us about the difference between the options that you considered as part of the 1A, like, and the reason that you've come to the option that you've selected?
Yep. So as previously commented, we've gone for the North Queensland region due to Cairns Station being affected by a severe weather event.
Yep.
That forced us to move out of our station in 2023. We have built a temporary facility which we are operating out of at the moment. We do have some CASA exemptions that we operate there. So the Cairns flood issue was the driver of what sent us to North Queensland first.
Yep.
And then the also Mackay and Rockhampton are both approaching end of life. Rockhampton was built in 1952 and Mackay in 1973, so quite old stations. And by grouping the region together allows us to do that economies of scale that we spoke about earlier by, interacting with one contractor or several contractors in a region, and we can focus our point there.
Yep. That's all for me, Chair. Thanks.
David, are you still on the line? And if so, do you have any questions? He's gone. Okay, David's not on the line, so I won't go to David. Andrew.
Thank you, Chair. So just drill down on that, Mr. Page. So you feel there could be some cost savings having, starting in like Cairns, Mackay, Rocky, because of the geographical location?
Yeah, so part of the method that we propose to build with is to build a superstructure. So construction talk, but we'll build a superstructure first and then do a fit out at later. So build the large exterior building, if you like, and some of the mechanical and electrical fittings that will go in that, and then we'd bring in a fit out contractor to then fit out the internal stations. So they would be modular and built off-site, so we could get there's contractors that can mobilise and do that in a local region, and then filter from there out to those 3 sites due to their close geographical situation.
Okay, and yesterday we've seen, and thank you for the tour, we've seen how some fire trucks, and they're going to increase in size.
Yep.
Quite dramatically.
Yes.
If they increase again in size dramatically, will your building be able to be changeable to be able to accommodate the new technology that's coming through?
So the new buildings have contingency for that already. So we have built them taller and longer for any particular. We have been in conjunction in talks with our fire truck manufacturers and taken into account any potential alterations that may go to vehicles, and we've taken them into account with the design of the new building. Okay,
so that's the fire truck thing. Now, given the fact that aviation worldwide is going to increase drastically, how scalable are your buildings? We're going to spend this amount of money rather than then knocking them down and starting again. Are they scalable? We need value for money here.
Yep. So we have a Cat 8 and a Cat 10 design. The Cat 8 design can easily be transformed into a Cat 10. There is a section of external wall that can be deconstructed, and we can extend the building to form a Cat 10. So none of the existing structure or internals of the building have to be altered dramatically. We can just change some small fit-out bits and add on to the side of it to get up to a Cat 10, which is what the biggest category station in the country.
Okay, and with AI and all the new things that are coming through, are you going to have plenty of empty conduits so we can run extra cables around and all those sort of things? Has that been allowed for?
It's been allowed for, and part of the construction method, we are doing floor voids and ceiling voids that are accessible through construction methods like data flooring. So we can actually lift sections of floor in hallways. They're designed to be lifted, so we don't have to break and then redo. We can lift them, and we can add extra water, power, AV, tech cables as and when we require them, yes.
All right, very good. And probably the last question, given the fact that we're dealing with people saving lives here with these stations and everything we're doing, have we benchmarked these facilities against facilities overseas and around the world, and where will this capability place us? Will we be leading? Will we be up the top, or where will we be at?
Yes, so we have actually worked with a consultant called DAAI, which is Dublin Airport International, essentially. They have a consultancy arm, and they are heavily involved in designing and operating airports outside in the world, a lot of presence in the Middle East and in Asia. We have consulted with them about what is being used in Europe and in the Middle East, and their opinion of this design is that we are right up there in the top 10%.
Okay, and last question is longevity. So, given the fact we're replacing, I think, did we take an early evidence? 52 was this one built?
1952.
1952 and 73. I'm hearing they're old numbers. What do you think the longevity of this build design and
So it's about a 50-year design life.
Yeah.
But the benefit of this build, it's not a technical build. It's quite simple construction methods. So things that can be replaced as we go. So we don't have to do a full knockdown to do any. We can do outside works, a bit like your house, if you like. You can replace the roof. So we can replace walls, cladding walls. We can replace roofs. There's work there that we can do without, large costs.
so scalable? If we're going to build a bigger building and you need to extend, like sleeping quarters, for example, you can remove some internal walls, make that bigger, and then.
Well, each of the different the internal building's made up of kit parts, and all the kit parts are exactly the same size. So, i.e., each room is the same size. So, if I wanted to change an office to a dorm room, we know that they are 6,450 by 6,450. So I can pull the internals of that wall, and I know that any other room in that building will fit into that space. So it's as simple as pulling one room apart, putting one room back in.
Awesome. No more questions. Thank you, Chair.
Can I just go back to the 3 locations that we're talking about? Why were they chosen in terms of the first cabs off the rank to do all the rebuilds?
So as we touched on earlier, the Cairns was a severe weather condition, so the station essentially went underwater, and then was no longer fit for occupancy. So we've been working out of a temporary station. So that was the driver. That was one that we needed to do, because that was really the only station, I think, that we actually aren't occupying at the moment.
Correct.
And then Cairns, Mackay and Rockhampton were up there with the next oldest stations anyway, so we did it as per a regional approach. So we can come into a region, one touch, fix it, move on to the next region.
All right. Can I just get my head around how this operates? Because I think, Ms. Peterson, you said initially that all your funding is derived you don't get funding from the government.
Correct.
Words to that effect. Yep. So these buildings go on land that is owned by whoever owns the airport, I assume, or whoever leases, I suppose. Yeah, whoever owns the land. You don't actually own the land.
Correct.
So do you lease it, or are you just given permission to build on the airport site because you're providing a service?
So we are provided a peppercorn lease through the airport.
So it's a peppercorn lease. Yep.
Correct. So we do not own the land. We hold a head lease with the relevant airport or owner of the airport to enable us to then build on that land.
And given Mr. Wilcox's question about longevity, your peppercorn lease is what, 99 years, or is it just ongoing?
I couldn't tell you what they are on those sites.
They do differ depending on the site, and we go into negotiation with the airport or the airport owner in developing that head lease arrangement.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is, I assume that you are going to be confident that you have security over the site, given that you're going to be spending so much money.
Correct, yes. And we go through airports, if they are needing to make changes to their site, if they're wanting to, add in a new terminal, a new car park, or whatever it might be, they go through a master development planning process. And if they are needing to change anything associated to that, that has to go through review and endorsement by ourselves as well.
And you then contract out your service to the airport?
We provide under the Airservices regulation. Airservices is required to provide both air traffic management and aviation rescue firefighting services.
Could another entity come in and say, we will provide the same service and compete with you for the provision of that service?
From an aviation rescue firefighting standpoint, we are the default provider of aviation rescue firefighting. There can be other providers of aviation rescue firefighting. An example of that is at Norfolk Island, for instance. It is provided through a private contractor. I believe it may be the actual council itself. But from a competitive, I would need to take the question on notice as in once you are actually providing a service, how that would work from a competitor.
Again, these are long-term projects, and it wouldn't be out of the question that a private entity could suddenly establish itself and go along to each of the airports and say, we can provide these services for you at a better cost. Because I assume you charge for your service. Is that how you derive your revenue?
Correct. So we are on a fee service,
Yep.
and it is, for clarity from an Airservices perspective, it is not, we provide terminal, aviation, rescue firefighting, air navigation services. So our long-term pricing and our pricing to the airports and airlines is through that methodology.
Yeah, but, and again, I'm perhaps rephrasing my question. You don't have exclusivity over the provision of those services?
Correct.
Right, okay. With respect to the Queensland part of it, where you've got the 3 sites, Cairns, Mackay and Rockhampton, is it likely that the same builder will actually build the sites, or the same head contractor will get the job?
Look, it's a possibility. We obviously haven't gone out to tender yet, so it's a possibility, but it will be all done on price focus.
Okay.
And there may be some price reductions for us to do that, and we would do that through the normal tender process.
Yeah. I think that's probably, and the. I think you were saying the site here at Rockhampton was not going to be demolished.
Yeah, we don't know because it's on a lease site. So if we were to move forward and build the new site, then a part of our lease negotiations for that new site, which we have already had indications from the airport that that we're moving ahead with that, then we would bring in some conversations about once we move out, would you like that building or would you not like the building? And then that'd be part of a lease handback agreement.
Yeah. No, I don't have any other questions. Josh, did you have any? Andrew?
I think so.
Well, okay. That being the case, once again, thank you for appearing before the committee. You will be sent a copy of your evidence to the committee, and if you feel that you need to make any corrections, please advise the Secretariat with those corrections. And I don't think there'll be any other questions in writing, but if we do have any, we'll send them to you. With that, I declare this public hearing closed, and we'll take a 5-minute break and have the in-camera hearing.